Hey, coming again with some more tips here on finding mature bucks on public land. I'm about a mile and a half in deep on a place, and one of the things I've been trying to highlight or illustrate, and I know some of this will be redundant, I'll cover it again and again, is just the importance of when I'm starting to scout a new area or an area that's not familiar with me, especially, or even an area that I am familiar with, of looking for what I call the travel corridors. I call them the highways. Um, every once in a while you'll find a deer interstate, but most time it'll be secondary roads, and a lot of times the routes to mature bucks. Your bucks that I could use the age 3.5 year old bucks, not fully mature, but on public land, he's already learned a lot. 4.5 to 5 definitely is a survivor and has made it through multiple seasons. And so where they travel will oftentimes be a little different than where does and younger bucks will travel. Of course, those big bucks will be on the does when it's, when it's getting near the, when they're in that seeking phase, especially in the peak estrus phase of what we call the rut. But one of the things I look for, and you can see over my shoulder here, it's really thick. I'm not going to try to zoom it in, but about, let's say, maybe 100 yards past me, I can see there's a ridge starting to go up, a lot of thick cedar in it. I can almost guarantee you that as I get closer in there, I'm going to start picking up sign of mature bucks, and the use, but it's a remote area, and they're not going to, obviously they're trying to avoid people, but there's something here I want to show you that's that always really piques my interest when I see it. You can look right there. Okay, this is a mature hardwood rub right here. This rub most likely is made by a buck that's, I'm going to say, probably 3 or 4.5 years old. When I find hardwood rubs in the Ozarks, when they're wrist size and bigger, it really, really does get my interest stirred up. And when you begin to piece this together, I begin to find multiple of these. I begin to piece that with some hub scrapes, and I'll describe that a little later. And just the terrain and everything, it just lets me know that a big buck, a mature buck, an old buck feels comfortable in here. And right now it's in January. Still time to hunt, and I've still got my eye out on a couple, but it's also a good time from now, especially get into February, March, even early April before green up. Great time to get out and begin to kind of assess and learn where these big deer like to travel, and all the deer like to travel, does, fawns, young bucks, everything, and get a game plan that'll help you going forward to next year. Okay, I'm going to try to take this opportunity to again highlight some things I look for when I'm on public land in the Ozarks, trying to find where deer running, especially those older mature bucks. I'm looking a little bit to the west there in the sun, but you can see real open ridge, got a lot of white oak. This carries on all back to the south of me, many ridges this way, but I'm gonna swing it around and show you how it begins to thicken up. You can see a lot of cedar, a lot of scrubby stuff, and if I swing all the way around, it gets real steep right here. And down at the bottom of this, there's a creek. Well, that creek is kind of like a barrier on one side, and you got this big open timber back here on the other side. The area in between, which is where you find a lot of these saplings, thick cedar, there'll be some greenbrier thickets. It's a natural travel highway for deer, especially big bucks. And then I'm gonna kind of walk this way, and there were a lot of big rubs and scrapes. Those kind of rubs I look for that are, bigger than a man's arm or larger. And as I'm coming through here, you can just see, you can't quite hear the creek down there running, but you can see that ridge across from me is across the creek, and it's not ultra steep, maybe 300 feet, but it's getting steep on this side. It's not going to be a real true Ozarks bluff, but it is going to get very, very steep. It maintains its thickness through there, And actually, I don't know if you can see it or not, there's kind of a little path here. And deer are using this. They're just hugging this edge, and this is a top spot. If I was going to try to kill a good buck in here, I would get in here somewhere where it really tightens up. And I'm talking probably October and November, more likely he'd be moving. But on a good morning, calm morning, or in this particular location, any kind of a north wind, I would get up above him. And in the mornings, you'd have those thermals coming up. Now in the evenings, that creek's going to drag your thermals down, so you wouldn't want to be above the trail. But in the morning, you get above a trail like this and get set, particularly, I think that last week, October, first week or two of November, you are going to have some action. Whether or not you kill a buck will probably depend on A, your ability, B, if you choose to try to take him or not, and because you're probably going to have an opportunity. There'll be a lot of deer moving. These bucks will be moving from big drainages to another drainage to check out. But again, you can see it's real steep here, or it gets real steep dropping off that creek, and it makes almost a natural pinch point. And this is just one of the terrain features, habitat features that I really look for. Again, it's right here adjacent to all of these big open woods where deer be feeding on white oak and things. But the place to kill him is going to be hugging this rim. Right wind conditions, slip in right, slip in clean, and the kind of place you stay all day and probably see deer almost all day long.